Hello, I'm Jun, and I'm presenting this paper, The Impact of Virtual Reality and Viewpoints in Body Motion-Based Drone Teleoperation, as my reading assignment 4. The full citation is given in gray below, and the link to this video is also provided. The author makes several observations on the current academia to base their research on, and that is what we're going to begin with. Firstly, they introduce body-machine interfaces. This is a type of HRI that uses the body signals of human operators to control the robots. This is an intuitive, easy-to-grasp approach. The precision of HRI system is vital to their performances, yet previous approaches relying on computer screen or joysticks require extensive training and expert knowledge, which limits their use. Body-machine interfaces may address this issue by making teleoperation less difficult and less abstract. Secondly, secondly, they discusses two important factors of HRI quality. Imitative motion serves as the mapping between human motion and robot control. It reflects how accurately the teleoperation system is able to understand its operator. Imitative motion is often used to signal control mode switches on the robot and is proven to outperform traditional control interfaces. Presence, studied here as spatial presence and self-presence, is how the operator is able to feel the surroundings and configuration of the drone itself. It is found that a strong sense of presence and embodiment is related to better performance. Finally, they introduced the design choice or the independent variables of this study. In terms of viewpoints, the choice between first-person view and third-person view is a trade-off between self-presence and spatial presence. In terms of VR, other studies find that it provides a higher degree of immersion and presence than flat surface controls. Given these settings introduced earlier, this paper's main contribution is that it innovatively focuses on non-anthropomorphic robots, which are more common in application than humanoid robots. It looks at human operators' reception of controlling such robots by examining their spatial presence and embodiment. It also verifies them from the other direction by asking them to imitate the drone's behavior with their body movements. These topics are studied with a variety of viewpoints and use of VR to understand the causal relationship between them. Let's now take a look at experimental setup. A fixed-wing EB drone is simulated with constant airspeed and PID attitude control. The human operators are tasked to attempt to follow the real path by imitating the attitude of the drone as if they're commanding the real drone, they're commanding the pitch and roll of the real drone. The red path and the viewpoints are both shown in the figure below. The viewpoint is varied between first, third-person view, and a ground view, and the simulation is conducted with and without VR, creating 6 different simulation conditions overall. You can see the viewpoints in the figure below. Again, first person, third person, and ground view. Continuing with the experiment setup, the operator's pose and motion is captured with a sensor vest. The upper body of the operators are modeled as 9 rigid links, whose states are captured at a sampling rate of 100 Hz. The states are in Euler angles and is sent to a low-pass filter for denoising. Presence, as we talked about earlier, is measured by a post-experiment questionnaire, where a score of 1 to 5 is given to each question. 30 volunteers are recruited to participate. Each gets assigned with a viewpoint pseudo-randomly, each experiment with and without VR. Now let's take a look at the results. A Mann-Whitney U-test is performed on the survey results on the VR effects. In the highlighted area, the authors point out that as all p-values drop below 0.05, the presence of VR, especially combined with first-person views and third-person views, significantly improves spatial presence. For the effects of viewpoints, a, a Wilcoxon signal sign rank test is performed. In the highlighted parts, which are in yellow, the authors point out that embodiment is significantly improved when using first and third person views with VR. Now, if you combine the results of the two tables, you'll see that VR used alongside first and third person views improve both embodiment and spatial presence, and this seems to be the best practice. Now let's take a look at the results from body motion. The author first considers the consistency of motion, which measures how different motion data is across different participants. This plot shows variability across the 6 conditions. From this plot, it is apparent that ground view is most scattered or less consistent with and without VR. Now, on the matter of correlation of body of motion and drone motion, this plot shows that ground view trails behind the first and third person view with and without VR. In both of these plots, they appear intuitive and they agree with each other. Since ground view is more detached from the drone, naturally this leads to more diverse imitative motions and lower correlation. It does seem that the first and third person views are the best in these metrics. Finally, in their last plot, they plot amount of motion for the 6 conditions. Amount of motion is defined as the mean absolute angular velocity and is a measure of how rapidly the participants move. Ground view still shows a relatively large amount of motion, so participants are moving rapidly in those scenarios, but it can also be said with third-person view with VR. As a result, the author concludes that there's no conclusion. Finally, what do I want to say about this paper? I think its innovative angle is great. Studying teleoperation on non-human-like robots is a great idea because, as the authors themselves say, there are far more non-anthropomorphic robots than humanoids. This study is contributing to make HRI more applicable, pushing it out of the realm of humanoids like telesurgeries or telemanipulation. Also, the general idea of mapping human motion into a non-human-like robot is a very romantic idea. It realizes humans' dream of transforming into animals. We have so many folklores like druids or werewolves about this. This romanticized idea will make controlling robots cool, attractive, and more desirable. It certainly helps to popularize HRI research and robotics as a whole. In addition, the authors provide detailed data treatment and visualization such that they're able to quantify and compare distributions with single metrics, which are the p-values on the issues they want to discuss. This allows them to communicate their findings in extremely understandable ways. So what can be improved? What can be topics of future researches if anybody wants to build on their work? As the authors themselves say, the participants are only passively following a defined trajectory for now. This open loop process doesn't provide feedback to the participants. Feedback is an important aspect if body motion interface is deployed in real world, and feedback should not be simplified. It should also increase the correlation and consistency across all conditions if feedbacks are provided to the participants. A study to verify such intuitions is certainly valuable. Secondly, I don't like the treatment that each participant only works on a single viewpoint. This introduces errors of individuals into comparing different viewpoints. If all participants are able to test under all 6 conditions, then I think this source of error can be removed and the quality of data should be better. This is my review of the paper. Thank you.